This is the plaintiff, Ron Cutler. He says his dog, L.E., which stands for Licks Everyone, was on his way at 19 to being the world's oldest dog, but was viciously attacked by the defendant's dog and was ripped to shreds. He didn't have the $4,000 it was going to cost to save his life, and his dog was put out of his misery. It was a terrible tragedy. He's out $1,069 in vet bills and is suing the defendant here and now. This is the defendant, Aisha Punter. She says the plaintiff walks his dog in her backyard and teases her dogs to boot. She's told him not to and has no idea why he does. This was an accident waiting to happen. She did nothing wrong, and any predicament the plaintiff finds himself in is his own doing. She's accused of bringing an end to Licks Everything.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated and come to order. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Ron Cutler,
Yes, ma'am.
you are suing Aisha Punter for $1,069, $569 of it a vet bill that you say is the fault of her pet, and $500 for pain and suffering. Tell me what happened.
Well, I've been living next to the defendant for about a year.
Next door?
Next door.
Okay.
We shared a common fence, but the houses were sort of reversed. My front yard was sharing
You
a
face
fence
one way,
with her.
she faces
Right,
another? Okay.
Right. In her backyard, she had the 3 crazed pit bulls that were kind of vicious and always like out of their minds. And you just couldn't casually stroll past down the street. Every time you did, the dogs just wanted to kill you, you know? So
How were the dogs kept in the yard?
in a triangle, sort of. Like, here's the street. The only thing is, no fence. The fence wasn't there. It was knocked down a long time ago.
Which one? The fence between your property and her
No,
property?
on her backyard, facing the street, no fence. And there's the dogs right there.
I'm sorry, but then what kept the dogs from fleeing?
They were on these tethers, 3 leashes, long ropes.
Made of what?
One was a rope, and the other 2 were like chain. And every time you walk by, they would go crazy. Especially when I took my dog out.
What kind of dog did you have?
I have a picture right here. It was a half Pekingese, half Chihuahua, 8 pounds, and she was 19 years old.
19?
19 years old.
Oh my Lord, that's a lot in dog years.
Born August 24th, 1993.
Wow.
I've had her, we've been joined at the hip for 19 years. And she was on the road to becoming the world's oldest dog. The only thing wrong with her, she lost her hearing a couple of years ago, and she had no teeth. But if
Nothing
you
wrong
saw
with that.
if you saw the dog, everybody thought she was a puppy.
Right.
And she was like full of life. She was like the coolest dog and unbelievable dog. And we slept together every night for 19 years. But of course
Who's that lady?
That's a cousin.
Oh,
But even though we slept together every night for 19 years, I mean, there was a mix of ex-wives and girlfriends everywhere, you know. So it was. I'm
so
not
tell
weird.
me. All right. So what happened?
So it happened. So, you know, every time I went outside, it was 3 times a day and walked her. He'd be very alert. I never took my eyes off the dog, ever, until I was down the street and things were calm. Coming back, I had to go through the gauntlet again. And when I would go back into the house,
You couldn't just go the other way. I'm just curious.
it was at the end of the block.
Right.
So I had only a short end of block thing, and then there's just the road with the traffic.
Oh.
So I was
okay.
you were sort of restricted to this side. So when I would come home and get through the gauntlet, I never walked in the house.
Was your dog on a leash?
Of course. I backed into the house all the time. I never walked into the house. I backed into the house, keep an eye on things, in case it came around the fence and got loose. Then I raced.
Had they ever gotten loose before, or you were just
Yes,
nervous?
they have. Maybe once, some time ago, but not. I heard they did. I didn't see it.
Okay.
However, a couple weeks ago, I was driving through the neighborhood and I saw all 3 of them running down the street.
Did you take a picture?
No, I did not.
Do you have any affidavits from anybody else?
No, I do not.
Okay, go on.
But she was sitting there. She thought it was cool. She saw me standing there,
Okay.
but she ignored me. This is
Okay.
after the dog was dead, way dead. Okay? She didn't care. So, July 7th, just passed. It was a Saturday, 4 o'clock. doing my regular thing, walking Ellie. And I went through the gauntlet, did my thing. I came back, and as I was walking by, and the dogs were doing their vicious thing, and I was watching him, all of a sudden, there was somebody behind me I didn't see because I was paying attention to the dogs. And somebody said something to me like, oh, look at the dog or cute dog or something like that. And I turned to see who it was. The second I turned my head, wouldn't you know it, the chain or the collar or something happened and one of the dogs broke free. And as I was looking to see the girl who said something, she screamed, watch out! And I turned, and her pit bull was on my dog and just ripped the stomach right open and started chewing through the dog. So I jumped on top, and then there was other people around. Everybody was screaming, going berserk. And I jumped on top of the dog and was beating the dog as hard as I could in the head. The dog didn't even know I was there. And she said, I'm chewing through the dog. My dog hasn't made a sound or barked in 15 years. And I heard sounds coming out of this dog which were ungodly, of wailing. So after beating the hell out of the dog, and nothing happened, I picked up my dog under her neck and on her butt, and I picked her up off the ground to try to get away from the pit bull. The pit bull was not let go, and I had my dog and the pit bull off in the air, and the pit bull was chewing through the dog in midair. So then I slammed the dogs down. It didn't matter. And then a couple of seconds later, her son, the 10-year-old, came racing out of the house and gave a command to the dog to let go. The pit bull immediately let go. The kid and the dog beat feet. They gone.
They go back into the house?
Into the house. Both of them, like they were, like the dog knew what was going on. You know, the pit bull.
Well, the pit bull's being a pit bull.
Pit bull being pit bull, vicious. So I had my wallet on me. For some reason, I had my keys. The dog is like, all her stuff was out. The intestines were laying everywhere. So I picked the dog quick and I put everything back in the stomach and I folded it like that. And I jumped in my car. And I knew in the next town, and nearby, there was some 24-hour vet place, hospital with surgeons on call. My vet, who took my dog under his wing years ago, he was too far away and it was too late in the day. So I went down to this hospital and I was holding the dog. And the dog was looking up at me and saying, oh, please help me, please help me, please, please, please. I just, we were so tuned together that she's just looking at me and she just knew I was, I was there, please save me. Go into the vet place and I scream, help, my dog is to help me, help me, help me. So they take the dog in the back and a couple minutes, 10 minutes later, they come out and they said, it doesn't look too good. But $4,000, we give it a shot. But we can't guarantee that she'll live. I don't have $4,000. If I had $100,000 and they wanted that, I would have given it to them. It doesn't matter, I said, I got $4,000. What do you got? I said, I got $1,000. We'll take it. I said, what do I get? What do you do with that? Well, we're not going to do anything. We'll just keep an eye on her, keep her comfortable until you can bring her to your vet on Monday morning. This was Saturday night. So I'm going, well, it didn't matter, Keep her comfortable, what does that mean? Well, we're not going to do anything.
Well, they're going to take her out of her pain, I guess. But
yeah, they'll give her a little pain thing and whatever.
Right. So you give them the $1,000.
So I race home, clean out my wallet, come back with the bread, give them the money. I look at the dog's just going, help me, help me. And, but they had just had a little cage.
So you left the $1,000 and the dog.
And the dog.
Then what happened?
I went right to the police station.
Okay.
Filed a police report immediately.
Right.
Raced home to her house. And usually this street is always packed with all kinds of people. Kids playing ball, people on bike. It was just packed with people. I went down the street. It was like an atomic bomb went off out of some movie. It was totally deserted, like surreal. Because the word went out, what happened? Hey, the cops are coming. So everybody split.
All right, so you knock on her door.
I didn't knock on the door. I was afraid to get out of the car.
Okay, did you ever talk to her?
No, so I screamed. I don't want to tell you what I screamed, but I was screaming all kinds of stuff, you know? They were probably hiding in the house. So then, after I saw I wasn't getting anywhere with that, I went home. The sun was still out.
Did you ever talk to her, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
So then, I didn't
Just
know
a minute. Just a minute. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You tell me what you know.
Okay.
Were you home when this happened?
I can't recall whether or not I was home, but nothing that this man is sitting here saying is true at all. Okay. We have this big street. My dogs are not the only dogs on that block. You can walk across the street. You can walk the other way. There is no traffic or nothing like that.
Well, but just a second. What kind of dogs? First of all, talk to me. Do not talk to her. Do not talk to him. Talk to me. Okay.
I have 3 pit bulls. They're
and you
rescue
keep them on
dogs.
chains?
No, they only come outside once in a while. They're not outside all day long because they're in the house. We keep them inside. They was on tie-out chains that I got from Almost Home Rescue. And these
What are tie-out chains?
Okay, they're cables.
Do you have a picture?
No, I don't have a picture, but they're cables like that they use to tow planes or whatever. This is what the lady told me. They're not gonna break. Now, the day that he's talking about, I'm not even sure about this day because, like I said, I wasn't there. But
Who was there? Was there anybody in your family there?
No, there was nobody home, and we don't leave the dogs outside when we're not home. The dogs stay in the house. So he's claiming that the dog came outside and attacked his dog. I've watched him numerous
Wait a minute, stop. You don't leave the dogs outside
No.
when you're not home.
No.
Right. And according to him, the dogs were outside, so somebody was home.
No, I mean, like
You just think you just think he's completely making the whole thing up because I know the dog died and the dog died from injuries from a bite.
Yes,
So-
I'm aware that the dog died, but as
Right.
far as my dog attacking his dog, I don't believe
Why
that.
would he want to pin it on your dog if it was a different dog?
I have no idea, but I know the vet lady that comes and checks on the dog, she came over that same day and I had her check the dog and she said there was no blood or anything in the dog's mouth, like nothing. So I don't know.
Is she here?
No, but she
Do you have an
wrote me-
affidavit from her?
Yes.
Let me see it.
So I don't know, what he's saying.
Plaintiff had a 19-year-old dog, could have been the oldest dog in the world until it was fatally attacked by the defendant's pit bull. Another pit bull attack? Let's listen.
Did you talk to your kids?
I talked to my son.
Do you have a 10-year-old?
Yes. And I have
your
a
10-year-old
witness
here?
here.
Is your 10-year-old here?
No, he's not. But I do have witnesses here.
What are they witnesses to?
The guy come into the house,
What guy coming to them?
Mr. Cutter, I
Okay,
believe.
come on up. Go ahead.
When I was inside my kitchen, and I saw him when he pulled up. He just pulled up and he stopped right there in front of the house, and he just started blowing the horn. He just kept blowing and blowing and blowing. I said, wait a minute, why is he blowing the horn like that? So I rode outside on my ramp, and I was just sitting there, and he was still blowing the horn. He rolled the window down. He said, that's okay. If nobody want to come to the door or answer me, I'll be back. I'll be back with the police. So I said, oh, wow. I said, I don't know what's going on, but I said, I'm going to sit here and wait because I know when nobody in
Breaking
her
up the
house.
monotony.
Well, I'm looking at him nosy like that, but I saw him. But all this other stuff, I didn't know anything
Did you
about
hear
that.
when the dog thing happened?
I didn't hear anything.
Did you talk to anybody who did?
Nope.
Okay, so then what happens?
He just pulled up there and said, if nobody's going to come to the door and talk to me, I'll be back with the police.
And did he?
So, no. I stayed outside until Abner came to her husband.
Okay,
came.
come on up. Thank you. So then she tells you what's up, and then?
Okay, so now I get into my car, and like the way he's describing this is totally wrong. We live on 13th Street. He lives on 12th. That's the house behind us. That's technically our backyard. I get in the car, I drive around the corner, and I go knock on the door. He lives in a rooming house, so another guy comes to the door, and I ask for this man, and he comes to the door, and I'm asking him what happened. So he's telling me that he was walking the dog, and he was basically like the street and the sidewalk. He has plenty of room to walk on the street, but he chooses to walk up where the dog is
The backyard.
Like I say, like the edge of our backyard.
Okay, does your backyard have a fence there?
There was a fence there, but we had cesspool problems, so they had to take that piece down and
So
they
there's
put
no
a new
fence,
septic
and he
piece in there.
chooses to walk right where your dogs can get at him because he's on the sidewalk?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like he has a history of coming into our backyard and letting his dog use the bathroom, and he sees the dogs are there on the chain.
With no fence.
No, it wasn't a piece there because, like I said, we had septic problems, and they came and put a new
Would
septic
you
system
have
in.
frequently take your 15-inch long dog into a yard that is unfenced with 3 pit bulls on chains?
Honestly, if the dogs weren't there, they were there all the time. But if they weren't there, I would let them walk on this much grass off the road. They were like 20 feet away. They're full of it. Okay.
Go on.
Totally.
Okay, as I was saying, it's a numerous amount of times.
So what did he tell you? He
Well,
told you the
I
same
came
thing he
around-
said here?
I came around and talked to him. No, he wasn't. It's nothing like this. He was telling me that he was walking the dog on the edge of where the fence
I never
and
said
where
that.
the
Wait a
street.
second. Go.
He was telling me that he was walking the dog between the edge of the fence and where the street is, where he normally comes, and then makes that little turn into the yard and let him use the bathroom by the fence that separates our yard and his yard. I spoke to him and I was like, well, I really don't know what happened here. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. You came around here ranting and raving and cursing at my kids and stuff instead of talking to the adults here. Like, if there was a problem, you should have gotten out of your car and knocked on the door like I came around here and did to you. So long story short, he shows me a vet bill. So I'm saying to him, like, listen, sir, I don't have any proof that my dog did anything, because right after the attack, she did contact the person that takes care of our dogs and stuff like that. And she came over and she looked at the dog and she's like, well, I don't see any blood.
If there was no one home, how was she able to look at the dog if the dog wasn't outside?
No, she called the person after I had came around from the corner speaking to this young man about what had happened with the dogs in particular itself. So once we had knew what was going on with the story, she got on the phone and called the lady, and she came out to the house and looked at the dog. Now, he had informed me
Who was
that
at the house when she came to the house to look at the dog?
all of us were home by then. This was later on in the afternoon. Like, this must have happened during
Why does she need to come over and look at the dog when you have eyeballs and you're there?
Because I didn't see his dog. And I didn't see anything
Doesn't
wrong
matter.
with
What
ours.
you're not making any sense. You folks are telling me how your dog's worn out because there was nobody home. But then you're telling me how you are, I guess, at work or somewhere else where you have to call somebody to come and look at the dog, to check on the dog. But the person is able to check on the dog, but the dog's not outside, but there's nobody home.
No.
Ma'am, I never said that
Yeah,
the dog
I
was
didn't.
outside. I wasn't even home when the incident happened. When I came home, this is what my children told me what happened.
Why wasn't the first thing you said to him when you talked to him, what are you talking about? My dog wasn't even outside.
That was what I was talking about, but I couldn't say that the dog wasn't outside because I wasn't home to know if the dog was outside or not.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Are pit bulls unsafe dogs? We go through this all the time.
No, they're not. The only inherently dangerous animal are humans.
Interesting. So you think that the humans can determine what the pit bull is like?
Yes.
That's your point. What do you say?
Oh no, it's not the pit bull's fault. It's the people that are taking care of them. I work at a pet store too, so it's just the people.
Okay, so you're like a doctor of dog.
Well, I'm not a doctor of dogs.
I got your point. Going inside the courtroom.
What time did this happen?
4 p.m.
On a weekday?
Saturday.
On a Saturday?
He even denied owning a dog.
No, that's not true.
My
I told him
landlord
at the
said-
time
my
that
la-
this went on that we had paperwork for our dogs and we had everything straight with our dogs.
I have a question. I want you to give me something I can hang my hat on. Tell me why he would blame it on your dog. And immediately, because he's not only saying, he's testified a certain way. He testified that way to you that day. He testified that way to the police minutes afterwards. Okay? And so tell me, if some other dog did the bad thing, what motivation does he have to pin it on you?
Can I say something,
Ma'am,
please?
there's a list of dogs like we have in our neighborhood.
I know, but
there's
you can't
more than-
possibly, wait, stop.
the police never
Hold
came
on.
over.
I have eyewitness testimony, which is pretty compelling about how it happened. Okay? I have you, and it's very hard to prove a negative. You're just basically standing there saying, did not, there's lots of dogs.
No.
Can you imagine if that alone could win in court? Then every neighborhood where there's dogs, no one can ever be responsible for their dogs. I mean, if there's something about his testimony that didn't ring true, I'd
There's
say,
a
you
lot
know
about
what?
There's a
Maybe
lot
it was
about it.
really because I'm not
There's
hearing
a
it.
lot. And first of all,
I'm not hearing it.
Ma'am, the police never came. That's
saying that he
another
went
thing.
and got a
They
police
never
I see the police. Yeah, I see the police
But the
report. You want to
police
see
never
it?
don't we
came to
have
the
it?
house. We
I don't
we
know.
have a
Maybe you
copy
guys
of a
won't
police
answer when the
report.
police knock. I don't know
No,
what the
that's
answer
not
is.
true at
I know, but are
all.
you listening to me? There's a police report. You want to see it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. There's a police report of him calling out.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, like I said, the police never came to the house. As far as my dogs are
I know, but
being-
that doesn't make him a liar because the police didn't follow up.
Ma'am,
There's a
he
police
is
report.
lying. He's
part that
lying
he's
because
lying
there's
about
other,
is the
there's
fact of
other
the matter
dogs on the
that he
block,
was
and I
on
know
the
that
I
my
can't hear
dogs
both
are
of you. I
not
can't hear both of you at the same time. Either one, I'll hear you both, but not just not at the same time.
sorry.
Go ahead.
The fact of the matter is that he's lying about that. He's saying that he was on the street and the dog broke the chain to get to his dog.
How do you
to
know?
that. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Okay,
I guess
now
I
what
don't
did you
have
wanna
the proof
say?
of that.
Okay, what I'm trying to understand here is he keeps saying that the dogs are vicious. There's days when you have came by with a leaf
You are not
blower
talking to him
No,
again.
stop.
and you're
Okay.
tormenting the dogs and stuff like that.
How
When-
would he torment your dog?
Okay, he's
Well-
blowing leaves in the dog's faces.
Wait.
He's outside with the leaf blower. He's letting the dogs use the he's letting his dog use the bathroom on the property where he knows our dogs are tied up at.
That would be,
Judge,
if that's true, that would be pretty nuts.
Judge, she's talking about my landlord, not
No,
me.
I'm talking about you.
No, but see, this is going to show you that they are messing with the dogs. They would take the leaf blower and put the leaf blower in the
Who's
dog's
they?
face. Where he's staying at. He just finished saying that the landlord was doing that. So therefore, if you're bringing the dog over there to use the restroom and everything else, like how
Okay,
the
I don't know what the landlord's doing. I don't care what the landlord's doing. I want you guys to listen to me. Okay? I think it's lovely that you're rescuing pit bulls. But if you're going to do that, I think you should fix the fence. I think you should have some added security because it's not the dog that is a problem. It's not the pit bull that's a problem. It's the people who have the pit bull that are the problem. Okay? And if you cannot contain the dogs, you cannot contain the dogs effectively. First of all, stop adopting more pit bulls. Okay? I think you have more than you can handle. And I really think that if you cannot afford to fix a fence in a yard with 3 pit bulls, you cannot afford another pit bull care. So I think it's now put your
we
hands
have a
down.
pen and
No.
everything.
Now you're going to listen. Now it's time to fix the darn fence. Okay? I have his testimony, which as far as I'm concerned, is eminently believable. I have no one home in that side according to you. But you don't bring me the kid who you know he's saying took the dog in so that I could cross-examine the child. Fine, he's a child. You can make that decision. But that makes me uncomfortable because I can be very delicate with children, and children will usually tell me what really happened. Not my children, but other people's children. What he is suing for, you paid the vet $1,000. Apparently the vet gave you some money
Well,
back.
because the deal was till Monday morning, take care, but the dog passed Saturday night. So they gave me a refund on, you know.
So what you're suing for is the $569 that you're out,
Yes.
and then $500 for pain and suffering.
Yes.
Okay. You cannot get pain and suffering, even though I know it's one
I
of
was
the...
just trying to make a point.
Right. I understand that. But dogs are considered in the eyes of the law as property. So you're entitled to the property, what you're out as a result. What you're out is irreplaceable. Okay? But as for the $569, I'm going to order the defendant to pay you the $569. Verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff has collected here in the People's Court. Let's talk to the defendant, the pit bull people. What's your reaction to it?
The guy was lying totally. It makes no sense.
Are you going to stop adopting pit bulls at this
It's
point?
not a point of adopting pit bulls, like I said. My dogs are well taken care of. The fence incident has nothing to do
What
with
about the fence? You going to fix it?
The fence has nothing to do with it. Keep your dog in your property on your.
You're not
where
going
you
to fix the
live.
fence.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we are
eventually the
gonna
fence
fix
is going to get fixed. Yes.
Listen, have you ever turned to him and said, hey, look, I feel your pain. You know, there must have been a terrible loss.
I
Have you ever-
actually went to this man and spoke to him like a human being, and it's come to court and to have a whole bunch of lies thrown at you. That's
All right, right around the corner
All right,
there.
guys, right,
Fix
just
the
like
fence.
Man, that goes back to you.
All right, so come on out here. It's probably feels to you like your own stomach was ripped out there. Come on, step in here. What are you shaking your head about, and what's going through your
These
mind?
people hallucinating. There was everything they said was just false. There was just total lies. I was in the middle of the street. They get excited when the dogs would go crazy.
How much do you miss L.E.?
Pretty serious. In 19 years, a third of my life, I was with this dog. And we had a special bond. I never went anywhere without her.
Have you gotten another dog? Yeah.
No, I don't think I can handle that. Too much pain.
Okay. Harvey?
Okay, well, here's the deal. Look, whether pit bulls are unsafe or not unsafe, the fact is, if they end up being unsafe and the owner isn't being responsible, call your local Department of Animal Control. They can come out, they will investigate the situation, and if the owner will not deal with it, ultimately, they can get the animal removed. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.